Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your Libertarian car guy, and this is kind of part two of my story about the ongoing saga of my young apprentice and his 72 Volkswagen Beetle, which I've been helping him get roadworthy. Right now the Beetle is stationary, and I'm going to show you why it's stationary, and it's one of the fun things about old cars if you're interested in getting into an old car. Right now, here's where the engine is at this particular moment, in a state of partial top-end disassembly, and the reason for that will be apparent shortly. So, let's travel inside. Well, actually, first let me go over to my pickup here and get a prop, something that is crucial to the story. Okay, alright, so the backstory is, when we got the car, it was running perfectly well, but it seemed down on power, and we looked at it a little bit closely, and I noticed and discovered that it had an incorrect carburetor on it. This is a Solex 28 picked carburetor, if you can see, and it is supposed to have, the 72 Beetle is supposed to have a 34 picked. So we got the correct carburetor for it, and here's the correct carburetor, all nicely cleaned out, as you can see, rebuilt and ready to go, and I thought it was ready to go. Anyhow, I installed the new carburetor, or the rebuilt carburetor, on the Bug, and couldn't get the Bug to idle. As long as you held the throttle up over about 1500, it would be okay, but it wouldn't idle. Now, this was puzzling. I went through all the checks. I rechecked my work on the carburetor, make sure everything was correct. I checked the air bleed screw, idle speed screw, choke, yada yada. I stood and looked at it for a moment and thought, well, perhaps there's a vacuum leak. And those of you who piddle on cars know one way to find vacuum leaks is to take like a can of gum out or WD-40 and you shoot it along around the carburetor and at the base of the carburetor to see if you can locate a vacuum leak. Well, sure enough, I shot some gum out right around the base of the carburetor, right here at the intake, where the intake and carburetor meet, and immediately the engine changed pitch, and so, eureka, I had found something. So I began to investigate further. Well, here's your VW intake manifold for a dual port engine, this ugly looking cast iron piece of thing right here. Anyway, here is the top portion of the intake. That's the intake plenum, I guess, the top of it right there. The carburetor bolts onto that. Well, it's dirty, as you can see. So I began to wipe away the dirt. Now you can see what I found right here after I began to clear away the dirt. Okay, this is not supposed to be here. This, pull it out for you, is some cheesy old bolt that somebody hacksawed a part of it off in order to correct, God knows what they were doing here. Somebody smashed out a chunk of the intake here, and then they got a hole in here, and it's elliptical, it's not even round. So they took this bolt that they found, I guess, lying on the floor someplace, it's got nothing to do with any correct factory part, and globbed it with RTV and just stuck it in there like that. Yeah, yep, that's what you call a vacuum leak. So I am now looking for a Type 1 dual port intake, and a buddy of mine apparently might have one, and if he doesn't, I'm going to find another one on eBay, or possibly go with one of the cool aftermarket ones that are kind of neat. They look pretty, but I'm kind of stuck at the moment. I can't proceed until that gets done. Now in the meanwhile, I'm going to clean up the intake runners. This is the right side intake runner. The way Volkswagen intakes work, this kind of plugs into that like that. It's kind of awkward to see it in this on the bench configuration, but it goes like that. And there's another one on the other side, and there's rubber boots here, and that goes down into the cylinder head, and that's what gets the air and fuel into the engine. But I'm going to bead blast this, I think, and either leave it raw or powder coat it. I'm going to do the same for the other one, and if we get a factory type intake, probably powder coat this one black as well. Now, by the way, some of you who are interested in old Beetles might want to know about something else. It turned out to be a good thing, actually, that this intake was rigged the way it was. because otherwise I probably would not have immediately discovered another problem that the car has. Okay, these tubes here are called heat risers, and essentially what they do is they take exhaust heat and they bring it up here to heat the rest of the intake manifold. And the reason for that is that otherwise the fuel mixture would get cold and potentially even freeze coming down this pipe, leading to long warm-up times and drivability problems. So Volkswagen put these heat risers on here. The problem is these heat risers, over the years, sometimes get occluded. They get completely gunked up with stuff internally. And as it turns out, both the heat risers in this manifold are completely gunked up. Now, if this manifold weren't ruined, thanks to whoever the geek was who did this to it, this would be easily fixed. Several ways to do this. One way is just to take a coat hanger or any other piece of sturdy wire and just kind of work it in there and work it around. And you can actually attach that to a drill too. That's another neat little trick you can get to get it spinning. And get it in there and just kind of decrud the thing. And it's, you're not going to hurt anything. It's just a hollow tube. And just keep doing that until you've got free flow there, until the whole thing is completely clear of crap. Blow it out with compressed air. Not that big, not that difficult a job to do. Anyway, I will have more for you shortly up at epautos.com. Stay tuned for the ongoing saga of the '72 Beetle. And thanks for viewing, and we'll catch up with you again soon.